Hi, Wim, Pascal, welcome. Hi. Welcome to the Insights podcast, Talking Insights, and welcome to Congress. How are you doing?
Cool. Nice to be here.
Yeah, we're doing fine. Yeah. We're enjoying Congress a lot.
Yeah. It's not your first time there.
No, it isn't.
Excellent. So just for the audience, can you tell us a bit more about yourselves?
Go ahead, Pascal. So, Pascal, leading the global strategy and insights team at Danone for our plant-based business unit. So responsible of, I always say, my mission is to put people centricity at the heart of what we do. So representing our consumers, our shoppers, in the moments of truth.
That's a great job. So I'm Wim. I'm co-founder of 1-Inch Whale. We are a research consultancy company. We are specialized in strategic innovation, everything which has to do with product, service development, branding, packaging. And in our DNA is a bit that we blend research and available data sources, science, AI tools into research, consumer research as we know it in a more traditional way.
Okay, thanks. So today we're here to talk about color science. And for those that are not too versed in it, can you just brief us on the topic and obviously your presentation a little bit, just before we get into the questions?
Perfect. Yeah, I will explain it very briefly because I can dedicate a whole podcast to it. You know,
I've spoken to you before, so we can definitely go on.
We can definitely go. So just very briefly. So basically, we all know Daniel Kahneman's work, who says 95% or 90% of everything that we do in life is subconsciously, is very intuitively that we make decisions. But what not many people know is that in almost 85% of the cases, color is a dominant factor in leading these decisions, and that is based on color scientific work that has been done in the past. So there is an engineer who has dedicated all his life to really investigating the impact of color and multisensory stimuli on people's life, on how we decide. And all of this work is now coming together in a color science tool that helps us to understand how a certain color tone impacts how we feel, how we perceive products and services, and how we take decisions. And that's a beautiful thing to blend in with traditional research, because it makes basically insights more actionable, because it can really tell you to change a very slightly nuance in a certain color with an impact on consumer behavior directly.
And I'm guessing it's been really important for Danone for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think by going last year through the journey together, it's very eye-opening and highly underestimated the impact it can have in both positioning your product, but also activating your product when it comes to really selling it, how you bring more dynamic via colors into your pack. So it has been a very eye-opening journey, and based on the science that is and the robustness behind it, it also helps to facilitate these decisions in the company, because everybody has an opinion when it comes to packaging. So and it becomes more an internal discussion than again the external world of the consumer centricity, and that helped a lot by having that science behind in order to come to more fast and agile decisions.
So the science is built around, I believe you mentioned predictive engine.
Yeah, sure.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, there are different components in there. First, there is a color psychology. There is the sensory science, which is plugged into that from really empirical kind of angle. So empirical studies were researched, and we took the learnings out of that, and then there were tons of validation projects in there to really validate the fact: has this color this meaning, and has this impact on behavior, basically. And another component, which is basically very important to mention as well, this is giving a view objectively on all of the elements and the impacts, but we also want insights on how people look into visual stimuli, for example. And we plugged in predictive eye tracking in there, which makes the whole system a predictive intelligence engine. And predictive eye tracking, basically, well, it's based on tons of real eye tracking data, and machine learning helps us to really predict where people are looking at in the first 3 seconds. And meanwhile, this accuracy is about 90, sometimes 95% compared to real eye tracking. And I think that's also something which helps to really move fast, cost efficiently in packaging development processes. But Pascal, you can maybe better tell later on how that works to the advantage of Alpo in this processes.
Yeah. And first of all, when it comes to your first point, Wim, on the importance of how to use colors in your brand, certainly when you have a broad brand range or product range in your brand, it helps you to plot the right colors to the right kind of positioning that you want to give to each product in your range. And that was also one of the challenges that we took in saying, with the broadening range of Alpro, with multi-ingredients that we have in our playing territory, how can we be as close as possible to triggering the need that we want to do with the product that we developed. So that helped a lot. And then on your second point, Wim, on the predictive eye tracking, that has been a tool also together with the design agency on how you can make little adjustments to your pack with big impact. And it's sometimes it's in the detail. Sometimes it's blowing up or some elements or shrinking some elements so that the visibility and the energy that your brain needs to process the data is more limited. So that activates your shopping behavior.
And how would a market researcher go about in implementing this? And how is it, what advice can you give our audience?
Well, from my point of view, and certainly in future, because there is a lot of happening in tech and AI-driven platforms that use existing data and help you to predict what consumers are going to do. So I feel that we really should embrace that and work with that as soon as possible, and not in 5 or 10 or 2 years, but experiment, take it into hand and see how it can help your business. I think it's also, if we look at what we have done, for example, for Alpro, if we would do it now, we know that we would do it differently because the tool evolved. So are other tools that we can use, and we have to accept that. Don't stick to the traditional, but really open up. That's my advice to research. Open up your world and use existing data sources, data science, predictive engines, AI. And some of them are maybe not so good, and you will experience it and you will try to find another one. That's fine, but you cannot miss the train, I think, as a researcher in this era where everything goes so fast and everything evolves exponentially, growth of tools and technology.
My vision is always a bit like, as an inside professional, you should embrace AI to the fullest, but don't delegate your tasks and your jobs to AI. No. It's about embracing and collaborating with it and integrating in it. It's not about delegating tasks that you don't need to do anymore. So that's a bit also with the topic of the overall theme of this conference, very real in all cases. That's for me the right approach on how to deal with it.
And I'm guessing that AI has been used in obviously in helping find the right colors. And can you tell us of maybe some examples so people can visualize some of the decisions that Danone ended up making?
For sure, and it's real life in store. So, for example, one of the ideas behind the new packaging, we wanted to go big on taste, and to personify that, we portrayed the ingredients like the almond and the cocoa very big, and we only showed part of the ingredient on the pack. But thanks to the learnings, we saw that the mental energy that is needed to depict what is really shown on the pack is larger or strong or heavier than if you show more of the almond. So that, for example, was a concrete change we've implemented in the pack, showing more the ingredients in its totality, so it's easier to process for the brain. I need my almond ring. I find it immediately there. Or it's about the proportion of unsugared versus almond. How can you make that in a balance that both messages come in the same order? So that are, for example, two very concrete.
And I remember another one. I knew on top of the pack there was a kind of a banner. And in this banner was the words, "I'm plant-based" or plant-based.
Plant-based.
I searched to say, okay, it's a plant-based alternative. Cool. But out of the predictive eye tracking, we saw that took so much attention, and people know that it's plant-based due to the ingredient. So it didn't make sense to put that there. And
Yeah.
you use that very clever and smart in another way, because attention is going anyhow there. So you can get another message through for consumers. I think that was also something very eye-opening.
We have lots of
lots of learnings.
But in packaging is also about details and having the proportion of everything right to create that harmony. And so for each pack we had very nice and actionable results, and that is a bit why I also loved this first pilot on it. On the actionability of the insights was really easy to grab, also with our design agency together, and that would be my record even when we would redo it, to even incorporate them earlier in the process, and that it becomes a bit more like 100% collaboration in building it from scratch.
So, as a final question, and you're talking about incorporation, what advice would you give to a brand or an agency that wants to incorporate this MR color theory, as you may, into its processes to really kind of boost its effectiveness?
First of all, I think it's also for the design agencies. They should be very much aware about it. It was for me also. I knew about the impact of colors, but not into the granularity that we experience. So it should be deliberate and not be like, it's a choice-based decision process. It should be a deliberate process. So really, for that world, engage with that science and use it then in a very iterative and experimental style. Yeah.
And maybe to build on that, I think what is important in the pack development process and research streams which are just aligned to that, we used to work very linear, right? So companies, brands, they are creating a packaging together with the design agency. They think we have a couple of wordings. What do we have to choose? People give their voice. No, we are going to do consumer research, right? Consumers give their opinion, and the agency comes back with something. And then a decision is made, and sometimes they redo everything because purchase intent is going down, etc. And that's because we don't think in ecosystems enough as a research and brand, and that's the solution that we have to do. We see that the processes which gain in impact, time, and money are those where we sit together at the very beginning, and it has that advantage as well that the design agency is not being feel attacked, because what happens if you don't integrate them in the beginning and the results are bad, they will shoot you research in all angles. It's only 200 respondents. It's only quality. It's only few. The difference is not that big. It's significant, but maybe not that. And you feed into discussions that you don't want, because they have to kill their baby at that moment. You know, if you put them up at the very beginning of the process, and I think that's the beauty of it, the science-based elements in there bring also open up a world for them as well, which enables them to create packages much more focused. So the creativity will be more impactful from the beginning. And in our opinion, and in our experience as well, less designs will have to be validated by consumers. So you can funnel down a lot of ideas into the right color usage, design gestalt before going into validation. And you win time and you win money all in the end, because if you have to test 3 design routes at the end, or only 2, well, that's a huge difference if you are in a global position and you have to test it across markets. I think that's for me also something very important.
And we did, but it was a bit in parallel, so it could have been a bit more spread, but we did the great stuff of starting with a more qual positioning work linked already to the iVisual mood boards on saying, okay, starting from the ingredient, what is the world around the ingredient, what colors does it evoke, what is kind of the need we want to express, how does that links to moods, colors, shapes, and then bring that back into a pack brief. So that's the ideal,
that's the ideal
sequence, and then you have a kickoff base for both the design agency and the client and the research agency to take it from there.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you very much. I'm going to be much more analytical, critical, and overthinking why the almond is looking at me in that way. But again, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to hearing more from you. So best of luck, and then enjoy the rest of the Congress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.